It's really hard to push through creative burnout. It's kind of like writer's block. Creative burnout is when you're a creative, an artist or artisan or crafter, and you run out of juice. You run out of motivation to create. Maybe it's because your creative passion became stale. Maybe someone said or did something that triggered all of your insecurities, and you're frozen in your tracks now. Maybe your body can't keep up with the physical demands of your craft. Maybe you have imposter syndrome. Maybe so many people are paying attention to your craft now that you're afraid you can't keep up. Maybe you're just plain tired. Maybe you're reevaluating why you create. Maybe you took a well-needed break and you're struggling to pick up where you left off. Maybe you lost your momentum. Creative burnout is hard, it's scary, it can be debilitating. I wonder sometimes if it's even more common now in the days of social media and a global online marketplace because there's so much pressure to continuously create in order to maintain your following. In order to hold on to this level of recognition you've achieved, you have to keep pushing out work. Stay fresh, stay interesting, be relevant. I feel like it's not really fair, but it's the reality of our public creative world today. I'm reminded of when I was a child and I was voraciously creative. Every single day I would do something, write a song on the piano or guitar. I would write a poem, paint a landscape or portrait. I would draw or sketch the things I saw every day. I would mold creatures or jewelry out of polymer clay and build houses out of toothpicks. I used to sew dresses for my dolls, and I whittled faces and creatures into wooden sticks. I couldn't stop creating things if I wanted to. I felt no pressure at all. I just made things because I existed. In some ways, I think that's the purest human experience. We make because we exist. It's not even about being relevant. We can be relevant and not create. But I think a crisis in creativity can contribute to crises of the existential kind. What about people who don't identify as creatives or artists? Well, I think if you take a moment and consider all the ways a person can be creative, from cooking to dressing themselves to makeup, organizing and sorting things like books or schedules, socializing, caring for children, and so many other areas of our lives, you might see that being creative is the human experience. So, if creative burnout is an existential crisis, what now? Where do we go from here? How do we get out of it? How can someone in crisis dig themselves out of a hole? One shovel full of dirt at a time. One step at a time. One tiny creative project at a time. For me, to do this, I have to pull back my mind from the big picture, to let go of expectations and all these ideas of how I should create, what I should be, what I should be putting out there. I have to try to forget all of these things just for a while so I can find my bearings again. So I can zoom in and focus on right now, this moment, and the tiniest creative pursuit that moves me forward one teeny tiny step. There are techniques and courses that teach these skills about getting out of a rut and making progress despite your circumstances. My favorite technique is to make a list of the easiest and smallest steps, then do just one of the steps, just one little thing, get it done, then cross it off the list. Then, after a few deep breaths, or a snack, or a nap, do one more little thing from the list and cross it off. If you can hone in on these tiny little steps to build forward momentum, and momentum is everything. It ebbs and flows like a river through canyons, carving a path through miles of rock. Once those creative juices start flowing, it gets easier and easier. The path becomes clearer. And here I am, after a lull, after several months of complete inactivity in many spaces of my creative outlets, and I'm working on building my momentum, one tiny pot at a time. I am the naked potter.